So far, many of you will have seen my breakdown of what has taken place to this point in time in the 2021 season. So, season opener in Bahrain, followed by Italy, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, and then Portugal. They were the first 3 rounds. Then Spain, Monaco, and Azerbaijan. And then I've done that standalone video, or 2 of them, showing you what took place at turn 1 in France. So this video is going to be looking at the 2 Austrian races, which were the other 2 races prior to Silverstone, where I'm going to be doing the big breakdown of how the media portrayed Sir Lewis Hamilton and totally vilified him, and the setup was utterly ridiculous. So just before I get into that, I need to go back to Azerbaijan because I missed something out that I wanted you to see. So let's have a quick look at that. So this is that restarted race after it got red flagged with a couple of laps to go. And this is what happened, as many of you are well aware.
I think it's disappearing. Look at the brakes smoking on Lewis Hamilton's car as he sits on the grid waiting for the 5 lights. Perez on pole, Hamilton alongside him on the front row. Perez gets away well, Hamilton will wheel spin. Sebastian Vettel is coming at them as well. Perez trying to cut off Hamilton, who looks up and goes straight on. Perez leads from Sebastian Vettel, and then comes Pierre Gasly and Charles Leclerc, and Hamilton has gone from second in the race to falling out of the points as they tiptoe their way around turn 2.
So, as we can see, if you go off the track at turn 1, after a restart, the whole of the field can stream by you. Go and have a look at the France video about a driver going off the track at turn 1, not rejoining in the manner that they were instructed to do before the race, and what penalty the FIA then gave them. And they didn't lose all that ground on the rest of the field and all them positions which they then had to fight their way back through, costing them time in a race where they took the lead with 1.5 laps to go. Anyway, the other things of note for Azerbaijan are these.
Oh, I'm so sorry, guys.
Yeah, don't sweat it, Lewis. Don't sweat it.
Listen, he's admitted to the mistake. It's been costly. He could have pounced on Verstappen, but that's equals for the championship. Good if you're playing for the long run, but Sergio Perez, what a...
So, the man's taken ownership of it. He's not thrown his toys out the pram. He's not blamed anybody else. Okay, he's taken ownership of his error. Now, I don't know what the rest was going on about. That's equals for the championship. Good if you're playing for the long run. I don't know what that statement means at all. The other thing, and this is key because this shows you what it takes to be a world champion. This shows you an experienced competitor using their experience, drawing on that, and that demonstrates really their greatness of their career. So have a listen.
Here, but Lewis Hamilton, 54 point scoring finishes in a row, and he fails to score points today as down the inside goes Gasly.
So 54 point scoring finishes in a row. Now, he made a mistake and that run came to an end. But it's that fact that he focuses on accumulating points at each event. Okay? He has, for the most part, okay, but clearly he made an error here. But he's now adopted an approach where he looks at staying in the race. He tries not to risk crashing out. He tries to drive more pragmatically, still extremely quickly. Okay, and yes, he's got reliable machinery mostly, and yes, he's got a competitive car. These things are accepted, an advantage that perhaps other drivers don't have. However, he still drives in a manner where his aim is to finish the Grand Prix in as high a position as possible, taking as fewer risks as possible in order to achieve that. That's how you achieve 54 consecutive point scoring finishes. Okay, in a situation where you are in competition with other people. You are still competing. Because what we've seen over the past couple of seasons, there's not really been any competition. So when your machinery is so far ahead of the rest, you're not. There wasn't really any wheel-to-wheel racing over the past couple of seasons, because all that would happen is you get to a straight point of the track, the DRS flap would open on that Red Bull car, that Red Bull car would fly past whatever car was in its way, and by the time that you had to turn the corner, the Red Bull car would be 50 metres ahead. So where's the competition there? There was no skill or craft in achieving that. Okay, that's just outright performance of a vehicle. That performance differential is not what Lewis Hamilton has been experiencing. So that is a key point. 54 consecutive point scoring finishes, and that's what he achieved. And these are things that they're not celebrated. They're not. They're just kind of dismissed, not valued. And they're the sorts of things where the commentators need to be explaining the remarkable nature of that and why that is actually really important and demonstrates his capabilities. But they're not interested in telling you that. Anyway, we'll move on to Austria. On to the first of the Austrian races.
Welcome along, everybody. Here we are in Styria for the second part of this 3-race triple header right in the middle of the Formula One season. It's the Styrian Grand Prix, and we're here at the Red Bull Ring, where Red Bull have taken pole for the first time at their home track in their history. At Styria, the second largest state in Austria, it's produced some of the best-known motorsport figures. Jochen Rindt, the posthumous world champion.
So, the Red Bull Ring, home of Red Bull. Okay, we're on the first lap. Okay, Verstappen started on pole, got away okay, no problems, and there's no changes between the front two. Brundle says this about Norris, and it's normal, it's innocuous, but you need to compare it with Silverstone. So this is what Brundle says about Lando Norris here at the first of the Austrian races.
And Norris's McLaren, we know, has got great straight line speed around there. That'll come in handy this afternoon.
Okay, Lando Norris's car has got great straight line speed. That will come in handy here this afternoon. Okay, now when you watch the Silverstone videos that I'm going to do, you'll see the importance of that statement. So again, this next clip of commentary might seem fairly innocuous, but it's all adds into a narrative that the way things are being presented. Have a listen.
To Bottas now, well, the end of lap 23 was 2.7 seconds behind Sergio Perez.
Yeah, they really want to try and get close enough to undercut Perez, get him ahead on the road. Perez doing enough at the moment to make sure that doesn't happen as they go through the back markers. So a very good job here for Sergio on those tyres and playing his role really in cornering Mercedes. Yeah. Mercedes, so often we've seen Mercedes just, have multiple options up against one Red Bull driven by Max Verstappen.
Today, Mercedes need Valtteri Bottas in play, which he... Today, Mercedes need Valtteri Bottas in play, which he...
So often we see Mercedes with the multiple options up against that one Red Bull driven by Max Verstappen. So it's Max Verstappen against the whole of the Mercedes team, and the Mercedes team's got all of the options, and look how incredible Max is in going up against them. That's the message they want you to hear, because that's consistent. That is the kind of slant that carries through all of the commentary. It's so things to add to this. What is real and what is bullshit? So they've just told you, just Max Verstappen going up against the Mercedes. Who has got a teammate which defends for you? Okay, so does Valtteri Bottas, or did Valtteri Bottas, drive in a manner where he fought like mad to deny Max Verstappen points in a race? Or did Sergio Perez put up a bigger fight to deny Lewis Hamilton positions in races? Let you work that one out. Which team has at its disposal its B team, where the A team team principal can brief the B team's drivers and request of them that they do their job of holding up Sir Lewis Hamilton? So in effect, which team has 4 cars at its disposal, 3 of those cars to be used as defenders for the one car that they focus on, but the other 3 are there to try to thwart the challenger? Use them 3 cars to try to take points away from their main challenger, who's the champion, and utilise it in that way. Because that's what we saw in Monaco. That's what we saw on Drive to Survive, of Horner instructing Gasly to make sure he didn't let Hamilton pass at Monaco. And that's quite an easy circuit to do that. Okay? So, Red Bull and AlphaTauri, 4 cars. 3 of those cars can be utilised to defend against the Mercedes. If they get themselves ahead of the Mercedes, they will fight like hell to keep ahead of the Mercedes. Whereas other teams, when they're ahead of the Red Bull, oh yeah, it's not our race. Red Bull is not our race. Who's fighting like hell to stay ahead of Verstappen? Doesn't seem to happen, does it? So who is having to work harder to fight their way through the field? 3 defenders. That's their ability through that construct. And yet Brundle tells us, oh, it's just Max Verstappen against the 2 Mercedes. Completely flips it around the other way and gaslights everybody up as if, oh, it's Max that's having to go up against this team approach against him, and how amazing a job Max is doing in doing it. Well, what's really happening here? What's really happening here? Anyway, we'll carry on with what I originally said in this pre-recorded thing that I did. It's done by design. It is done by design. It is done as a pro Max Verstappen commentary. And the next clip is just to add a bit of clarity for the strap-on fanboy.
Out in front, 6.3 seconds now, the margin between Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton, who won this race, the Styrian Grand Prix, last year, with the largest ever margin of victory at the Red Bull Ring by 13.7 seconds. Nowhere near that sort of pace advantage for Mercedes in 2021. Red Bull have not only caught up, but seem to have outdeveloped Mercedes so far this season. And there's the...
So, Lewis only wins in the best car is what you tell us. And even in 2021, Mercedes was still in the best car and the Red Bull wasn't as good. Well, clearly, the regulations were changed prior to the 2021 season. It impacted the Mercedes car to a far greater extent than the 8 teams that were running a different design philosophy. And therefore, it favoured the Red Bull, and hence the Red Bull is far more competitive and their on-track performance is at least equivalent. So, you know, these are all parts of the dynamics of the season. Okay, they're all parts of the dynamics of the season. In this race, Max Verstappen qualified on pole, took the lead, and is winning the race. Nobody's got any issues with that. Okay, this is Formula One. I don't think there's anybody who is a fan of Formula One or a Lewis Hamilton specific fan that's got any issues with this. Okay, this is just what it is. So, lap 71 of 71. What's happened is Lewis Hamilton was several seconds behind Verstappen, but far enough ahead of Bottas that he could go into the pits, get onto some fresh soft compound tyres in order to try to get the fastest lap for the extra championship point, which now shows you that he's now 38 seconds behind Verstappen. But when you lose 20-25 seconds in the pits, it shows you what the margin was. He was probably, I don't know what it was, 10 seconds behind, 15 seconds behind Verstappen, hence has gone in for the soft compound tyres. Now, Verstappen's last lap, look at these lap times that you've got here, around about the 109s, okay? That's the standard lapping speed, 109s, 108.885, 109, okay? Around about 109 is what these guys are lapping around at. Hamilton's just switched on to fresh, soft compound tyres when the others are all on either hards or mediums.
Teammate Max Verstappen slows down to take the checkered flag and absolutely crush the opposition here at the Red Bull Ring. He wins the Styrian Grand Prix. Max Verstappen for the third time winning here in the Styrian Hills. Hamilton on the charge for the fastest lap. Here's his teammate Valtteri Bottas trying to hold off Sergio Perez. Perez lost a position here before, right at the line with damage to his front wing. He is going to go all the way to the line now to try and make up a place in 2021. Hamilton's got a couple of corners to go. How Bottas wishes he only had a couple of corners to go. Hamilton takes second place and does get the fastest lap of the race. Bottas now trying to get the power.
With a 107.058. So a 107, that's 2 seconds a lap faster at a quite short track. Okay, so 2 seconds. It's a known thing. You switch on to fresh soft compound tyres, it's a known thing, the advantage that it can give you. Alright, so again, Verstappen crushed everybody. It's one of them races. Okay, Red Bull car might have been suited to that. Max did what he needed to do to win the race. Fine. Look at the tone of commentary. That's the key thing with that one. Okay, on to the next Austrian Grand Prix. Okay, a couple of things. Just to add a bit more detail, the Austrian Grand Prix track circuit length, I believe, was 2.68 miles. Abu Dhabi is 3.28 miles. So 0.6 of a mile difference. So 80% approximately is what the length of the Austria track is compared to Abu Dhabi. So if you can pull out 2 seconds a lap faster around Austria, if you extrapolate their numbers, and these things don't always work out like that due to the different track layouts and how you can pick up pace advantage, but you're talking, if you extrapolate those figures out, it would mean about 2.4 seconds a lap quicker around Abu Dhabi on fresh soft compound tyres compared to old hard compound tyres. These things are known things, known by pretty much everybody in the sport. The commentators know that. Those people in FIA race control know that. They see this race in, race out. If you don't understand, oh, that tyre makes that car this much faster, then you're brain dead. So if you're in race control and you see that situation unfold, and then you think, oh, well, if I break the rules to set this race off now, what's going to happen? I wonder. Well, that's called race fixing. So the other thing, I'm going to actually do a standalone video for Austria Part 2 because I'm going to do the footage, the in-car footage of what took place, and it's going to take a bit of time to get through, and I don't want this video to turn into an hour-long video because people won't watch it. So now I'm going to put together the Austria 2 video, and you will see the in-car footage of what took place there and how it corresponds to the other important events of the season. Thanks for your time on this one. Cheers.